Georgia Virtue presents the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast.
Thank you for downloading episode 291. This week, we have no speaker yet again. Don't get sick in Georgia. Trump's dominoes are falling. Semi-automatic rifles in California. Prison for memes. The X don't go anywhere. Hunting in the second. Sloot. And it's January 6th all over again. I'm Dave Roberts. With me is my partner in this endeavor, the man, the myth, the legend, the former state rep down in the Griffin area, Ken Pullen.
All kind of news this week, Dave.
Yes, it was a interesting week. It was interesting.
It all came at us fast too. I saw on Facebook where you were announcing your run for speaker, so congrats on that.
I have formally and officially announced my run for Speaker of the U.S. House.
You started raising money yet?
Yeah, started raising money. Look, I mean, I could do as well as any of the other jackasses.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can do it at this point. It doesn't have to be an elected official.
And I don't know that I can afford it because the speaker just makes the same thing the reps do, don't they?
I think he gets a little bit of a bonus.
Well, yeah, in stock tips for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of perks to being speaker. I'm sure that just like it was for Speaker Ralston, now John Burns, Speaker Burns. There's some perks. Yeah, good perks.
I wouldn't want to live away from my wife that long.
You know, we were down in Florida last week for October break, and when we passed the Georgia-Florida line coming up 75, I told my wife I only lived an hour from the Capitol, and it's like Joseph and Martin too. What are they? 45 minutes from the Capitol, so It's not too hard. It's not too hard for the reps around Atlanta to drive in, and if you need to go home, you go home. But I can't imagine living 3 hours from the Capitol and serving 40 days in a state house. I mean, you're basically gone for 3 months of the year.
I was about to say, somehow they make that 40 days into 90.
Yeah, they make that 40 into 90, so you're coming up on Monday morning, flying, or going home on Thursday night. Yeah, those guys that are out in the country, it's a whole different ballgame for them.
I think at one point, Micah, Joseph, and Martin had
they had an apartment together.
An apartment down there, yeah.
Yep. It was a party pad.
I love all three of them. They're good guys. They're friends of mine. I can't imagine them throwing wild parties.
I can't get over Martin too. Now he's lost. He looks great. I mean,
he's half the man he used to be.
Yeah, I'm not hitting on him or anything, but he is. He was a little pudgy like other people when he came in, and now he's fit and trim.
Well, that's tough because of all the free food.
Yeah, all the snacks and donuts and
everything in the wings. Speaking of, I was at Publix earlier, and the guy behind me, I looked at his cart and said, "Man, frozen pizza, donuts, and cake. It looks like you're gonna have a good time." He goes, "It's actually for a funeral."
Oh,
damn it!
Yes, stuck it right in your foot.
I said, "Man, I'm so sorry. I have a knack for saying the wrong thing at the wrong time." He goes, "That's all right, man. I do the same thing. I just asked a woman if she was expecting. She was not."
So after you win Speaker of the House, what do you know about these interest rates? Our 30-year home interest rate reached 8% this week. And I don't know if you saw the stat, but it's now $1,000 more a month to finance $400,000 house than it was 2 years ago. So,
and you can't find a $400,000 house.
No, you can't. But I mean, if you did find one at 8%, it's $1,000 more a month than it was a year ago. So $12,000 a year, if I did my math right there.
1 times 12. Good job, Kenny.
Yeah, these interest rates, I mean, hopefully we're reaching the top, but 8%, wow. It is, that's crazy. I don't think it's ever been, I mean, I know it hadn't been 8% since, what, the 20, 80s. 25 years? Yeah, since the 80s. So.
And of course, my mother put things in perspective. When they bought their house back in the 70s and 80s, the floor was like 16, 17%.
Yep.
But the houses were also 50,000.
Yep.
But yeah.
Oh, and also, hey, before we get to the headlines, I don't know if you saw this too. I'm just throwing stats at you. That the lady from Maryland that is the California senator now, says she's not going to run for re-election, but she's just going to serve out the 16 months of Dianne Feinstein's term and not run again. So that was, you don't see that very often.
Yeah, Lollapalooza, or whatever her name is.
Yeah, you just don't. LaFonza Butler, you don't see that very often.
The first openly gay black woman in the
I've
Senate.
actually got a lot of respect for her. And I mean, to come in there and she could be senator for the next 24, 30 years if she wanted to, and she chose to just do 16 months and bow out. I mean, look, kudos to her for doing that.
Yeah, well, she would be an incumbent.
Yeah, I mean, she would win
but
too.
That's what I wanted Kemp to do with Isaacson's seat.
Yes, he should have appointed somebody that would just serve out a placeholder. Term. Yeah, 100% agree. So look, I appreciate what LaFonza Butler's done. I don't know if Gavin Newsom knew she was going to do that before he picked her. I assume he didn't know that, or he wouldn't have made such a big deal about her being the first.
Governor Greasy, who is now inflicting himself on Israel.
Israel. Yeah, what we're talking about is he's California governor's flying to Israel. So somebody said if things couldn't get any worse in Israel, you've got a California governor coming in hot now.
Now you have to worry about the Israelis, because if he gets near a flame, his hair could go up.
Yeah, and as of today, with recording, they are getting ready to. It sounds like go in with their ground campaign. They've got about 300,000 people on the ground ready to go in. So I'm assuming by the time this drops on Monday, there would have been quite a bit of action over the weekend.
I wouldn't be shocked if we don't end up in our own war by Monday.
Well, it feels like there's a lot of other things starting to happen. Iran's getting upset. Syria's starting to throw some missiles over. I don't know if you saw, but the destroyer or the carrier fleet out in the in the Dead Sea, I guess. They shot down a couple missiles this week. There's a lot of stuff going on over there at the moment.
Look, every once in a while, if you pick a fight with the wrong guy at the bar, bad things will happen. They keep taking pot shots. The first service member that dies, it'll be on.
Yep.
Because right now, I know we got missiles coming in Iraq and Syria and in the Mediterranean and all that stuff, but the first service member that actually dies from it, it'll be on. And trust me, I am not wishing for that.
Yep.
So we do have latest on the Speaker of the House. Well, we don't have one. Jim Jordan has failed for the third time as of recording.
Yes, and the news is changing almost hourly now. So Jim Jordan, like you said, failed for a third time. And after that happened, the Republicans had a secret ballot vote to whether or not he should run again. He lost that secret ballot, so he said he's out. At this point, there's about 10 people that have committed to run for Speaker now.
Oh, good Lord.
Yes, but McCarthy, Representative Kevin McCarthy, the old Speaker, is backing Representative Tom Emmer for House Speaker now. So, and he said Austin Scott, the Georgia congressman from down around Macon, Austin Scott's throwing his hat in the ring again. He ran before. The black congressman from down in Florida is running. I forget what his name is. I'll look it up in just a minute. But there's about 10 people that have thrown their hat in the ring. But he's representing, so McCarthy, though.
11. You forget me.
11. Yeah, 11. I'm sorry. But so he's with Emmer now. And I don't even know where Emmer's from.
I really liked the speech that McCarthy gave endorsing Jim Jordan.
Yeah, Byron Donalds is who I was thinking about too. So Byron Donalds from Florida is the black congressman that's running also.
Yeah, the speech that McCarthy gave on Friday, I thought was very classy. Mm-hmm. Very classy. He admitted that he and Jordan have had their differences. But talked about what a good leader he is and how good he'd be at the job. And I thought that was classy. I thought it was a very classy thing to do.
Yeah, I do too. But then he said, I don't know if you saw what McCarthy said today, and this is a quote. We'll have to go back to the drawing board. What history? We'll look at the crazy eights led by Matt Gaetz. The amount of damage they've done to the party, this country is insurmountable. I've never seen this amount of damage done with just a few people for their own personalities. What damage has this done to the country by not having a speaker?
It hasn't done anything to the country.
It hasn't.
Now
Yeah,
it has damaged the party.
Yeah, potentially. We'll see next November. But, McCarthy has done more damage to the country over the last year as being speaker than these 8 people did. I mean, we're $33 trillion in debt, right? We can't pass a budget. We're sending money all over the world. The damage being done to the country is by those fools that are in office right now, not by these 8 people that voted Kevin McCarthy out. So he could have been Mule of the Week for making such a dumbass statement.
Well, it's narcissistic.
Yeah, it's very narcissistic. And then, so speaking of those 8 that voted against McCarthy, those 8 actually came out today and signed a letter that said they are prepared to accept censure, suspension, or removal from the conference if the current GOP holdouts help us to elect Jim Jordan. Well, obviously, that's not going to happen, but I thought that was funny that they authored a letter to just say, hey, we'll take anything. You can do anything to us as long as Jim Jordan is elected, but obviously that's not going to happen at this point. So they look like bigger fools now.
Yeah, Jordan's done. And I have to apologize again to listeners. My voice is not 100%. I feel 1,000 times better than I sound. Yeah, I feel fine.
Yeah, and close. Yeah, if you do that, I'll just start rambling on about random stuff, Dave, if you need to cough.
Yeah, but Jordan's done. I would have minded a Speaker Jordan. I think he would have been.
I think you would have done an absolute amazing job.
I think it would have done a good job. But at this point, I don't care.
Yeah, I know. Just
find a homeless guy and give him a job. It doesn't matter.
I think it's going to be tough finding anybody at this point. And I don't know if you saw closer to home. So Representative Drew Ferguson, he represents the 3rd district in Georgia, which is one of the most conservative districts in the nation. He actually voted for Jim Jordan the first time, voted against him the second time. And I'm sure he voted against him today, but he said he's been receiving death threats, and he had to have he lives in the Pike County, the county I live in. He said he had to have a sheriff's deputy outside his house, and people are threatening his life.
Oh, shut up.
I know, but for Drew Ferguson not to vote for Jim Jordan was a shame, and quit whining at this point. I think, I'm not sure we're hearing the full truth there, but we'll see.
You pull yourself off the cross there, martyr.
Yep.
You asked for that job.
Yeah, and he was the only Republican in Georgia that voted against Jim Jordan. So, yeah, Drew Ferguson's is I hate to use the term rhino. I hate that term, but he's just a big government Republican, and he does not like the Freedom Caucus up in D.C. or these more conservative small government types, and that's why he voted against Jordan.
Run against him.
Who are you talking to?
You.
I thought I heard something. No, I've had enough. No, I mean, the problem with running against incumbent for a congressional seat is you literally have to raise $1 to $1.5 million, and it's almost impossible to raise that kind of money.
Well, I'm in for $1 or $1.5.
Yeah, but $1.5 million. Even if you could raise $300,000 or $400,000, it would still be tough to win.
Well, right, because they have party money.
But you could run. I mean, I think you could run against Drew Ferguson in May as the primary just on his vote against Jim Jordan. I think people in the district are that mad at him for voting. So if there is, I know there's a challenger. There's a guy over, I think, around the Noonan area that's running against him. He needs to run his entire campaign on that point that he voted against Jim Jordan for speaker. Well, I mean, that would be on every mailer, the website, and everything.
He flip-flopped, too.
Yeah, flip-flop.
For and against. I mean, look, if you have a principle, if for whatever reason you don't like Jordan, then that's your principle. If you support Jordan, that's your principle. But obviously, Turd Ferguson over there doesn't have the principle.
Yep. And also it came out this week. Now I can't stand this person, but Debbie Dooley came out. And I hate to even mention her name on the podcast, but so back in 2022, Drew Ferguson already moved to Pike County, and he was living in Pike County, and he actually voted in LaGrange. So there was a bunch of investigative reports on him voting illegally back in the 2022 election. I'm sure Secretary of State's not going to do anything about that, but it appears that my congressman voted illegally back in 2022.
Super.
Which matters. That makes a difference. I mean, he voted for a state representative in the LaGrange area versus a state representative in his district. That kind of stuff matters. I mean, he could have voted for Splost or T-Splost or E-Splost. So it matters when you vote illegally in somebody else's district.
Speaking of, we have an E-Splost on the ballot in November.
80% probably.
No one is going to vote.
Yeah, nobody's voting. That was going to be my closing thought. I'll go ahead and say it. It's no one's thinking about voting in November, so all these splosts are going to get by just because their fans, are, the people that support will be out voting. But there's a ton of elections in November. People better start paying attention, or they're going to they're going to lose some races.
City municipalities are in odd years. So,
nobody's thinking of voting right now. Who's thinking about a vote coming up in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks?
Everybody's thinking about 24. They're not thinking about 23.
Exactly.
All right, Kenny, whatever you do, don't get sick.
I don't believe this. I saw the study. Look, this study came out that said Georgia was the worst state in the nation in regards to health care. Is that the study?
Yeah, but this was, I think it was CNN.
Yeah, it said Georgia ranks third worst in healthcare costs and has the third highest rate of residents who lack healthcare insurance coverage. The first thing I thought here is Democrats want Georgia to expand Medicaid. They've been wanting Georgia to do that, or governor has to do that. They've been on this for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, right? Put more people on Medicaid, expand Medicaid in Georgia. This study, to me, is just a study that even gives more credence to the Democrats claiming that. That's why I kind of looked at this and said, is this really right or not?
First of all, if you want to increase the availability of health care in Georgia, do away with certificate of need.
Yes, I 100% agree.
Jessica Szilagyi is down near Statesboro. And, she has to, the closest place to have a trauma center is Savannah. And that's an hour, away without traffic.
Yeah, you got to get rid of the con laws. And they've been trying to do that every year since I can remember at the state level. The problem is the hospital lobbyist group is
exactly right.
Yeah, they're the biggest lobbyist group in the state of Georgia. And every time something comes out about getting rid of, certificate of need, or we refer to that as con legislation, they just come out hard against it. And even in my little district down here in Pike County, we've got Upson Regional. Anytime those laws get introduced to do away with it, the local hospital just comes out hard and has everybody calling you and wanting you to vote no on it and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, it's the same thing out here. Our number one employer in Paulding County is Wellstar.
Yep.
Now, you can't get a bed. Yep. They're that full at Paulding County Hospital, but they also won't let anybody else build a hospital.
No, you can't. You can't build anything.
So you go to the emergency room. You're there for 8 hours, and I had to take Connie to the doctor the other day. She was running a super, super high fever, which was a secondary infection from COVID. It was 103.8, and they're like, "Well, I think you should go to the hospital." It was what the doctor said. I'm like, for what? You're going to spend 8 hours in the hospital, probably get sicker? No.
Right.
All for a chest x-ray? No. Her lungs were clear. I mean, did you hear any fluid? No. Then why would we go to spend 8 hours in the hospital to get a chest x-ray?
Yep.
So
yes, I mean, I don't know. I just think this is a very slanted, probably study. Want Georgia to increase access to Medicaid, which is not going to help with the problem at the end of the day.
Of course not. Because that doesn't help health care.
No, not at all.
It doesn't increase access at all.
Yep.
I think they started with a conclusion and worked their way backwards.
Yeah, 100%. Yep. Totally agree.
All right. Well, the dominoes are falling for Trump. This was interesting.
Yeah, the Kraken ate dinner this week, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Sidney Powell, who was his attorney, pled guilty in exchange for, I think, 6 years probation.
Yeah, 6 years probation,
and she has to agree to testify for Fannie.
Yeah, she's got to write an apology letter to the citizens of Georgia, pay nearly $9,000 in restitution, and she's got to turn over a bunch of documents. And I don't know if you saw this note today. Kenneth Chesbrough, who was Trump's campaign attorney, he also pled guilty this afternoon to a felony charge in a Georgia, interference case. So now we've got 3 people that have all pled guilty and have all said they would testify against President Trump in this case.
But I'll tell you what is not included in Sidney Powell's is her law license.
I know, she's keeping it, right?
So it appears that the $9,000 is a drop in the bucket for an attorney at that level.
Yeah, 9,000 is nothing, right?
Push comes to shove, I can swing it.
I don't know who's hiring her as a lawyer in the future. Maybe she'll get hired by somebody. But yeah, I'm sure she's got 9,000 saved up somewhere.
Yeah, but the thing is, if she testifies against a former client, she is done.
Yeah,
I wouldn't hire her. I mean,
no,
the whole idea of hiring an attorney is privilege.
I don't know how she can testify against Donald Trump. Maybe she's testifying against some of the other defendants. If you remember, she was the one that went down and sent data forensic, firm into Coffee County, which there's a lady down in Coffee County that's being charged also. I'm sure this is going to make her rethink her plea. But yeah, the dominoes are starting to drop, like you said, against Donald Trump. I mean, this is I can't imagine him getting out without being found guilty in Atlanta. I don't know what that means at the end of the day, but
it'll be immediately sent to appeals and probably overturned. But Fannie is going to get a chance to pick whoever she wants on the jury.
Yep.
Besides that, even Guadir, the jury pool in Fulton County is going to be slanted left.
No, totally at this point. Yeah, I mean they're already slanted left, but can you imagine at this point?
I don't know how you find 12 impartial jurors.
I don't either.
Everybody has an opinion about Trump. It's for or against. Everybody has an opinion about him. I mean, how would you like to be charged with a felony, knowing that the 12 people already don't like you?
Yep.
I would have to read the case now. Fannie's in trouble right now. She may not even make it to trial.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's in trouble with the backlog of cases and the new law that's going to have a review board. She may not even make it to trial.
I saw that last week where the Georgia Senate is going to start looking into her.
It doesn't mean that the charges will be dropped because he's already indicted. It means Fannie may get smacked, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like the Georgia Senate may apply that new law they passed last year to look into her office or into her as a district attorney.
Yeah, the Dick Donovan law. Yeah,
but this is okay. So this is where I'm getting confused because State Senator Colton Moore came out wanting the Senate to do this. They kick him out of the Republican conference, and now they come right back behind that and say, okay, now we're going to look at her.
Well, Colton Moore wanted a special session.
Yeah, well, I mean, hell, why not?
Well, because you're not going to get one.
Yeah, I know you're not going to get one, but yeah,
we're in Thanksgiving season, then it's Christmas, and then you're in regular session.
Yeah, I mean, the point is they're going to do the same thing that he was basically calling for, except it's not in a special session. They just got embarrassed because he was calling out state senators on the rug or on the carpet, and the state senators got pissed. And now, but at the end of the day, they're going to do the same thing he wanted to have happen.
Well, the end result will be the same.
Yes, right.
But Colton Moore didn't handle it like a politician.
No, he didn't.
He didn't handle it with within the party with dignity and all that stuff. Colton Moore decided to be a jackass and start calling people out. And
he did. He started calling, but it's not any different than what's going on in Washington right now with this Speaker of the House race. I mean, you've had political parties and the grassroots and Debbie Dooley and everybody calling out these people that voted against Jim Jordan. That's some of the reason they voted against him, because they said we're tired of the grassroots people, giving us death threats and calling us up and scaring our families and stuff. It's politicians have thin skin. That's the problem.
They are little bees.
Yeah, they are. I mean,
And I'm talking to one right now.
No, but I mean, that's really the problem is they never want to be, they never want to be called on the carpet about anything.
Well, yeah, they don't want to be held accountable.
No, they want to control everything and not be held accountable for anything.
So, California, I hate this term. Kenny, I hate this term.
I do too.
Assault weapon ban overturned. I hate that term. There's no such thing as an assault weapon. An assault rifle is a select fire, which means it's capable of firing automatic. Those are very, very, they have to be managed before 86 for an individual to own it, and they're extremely expensive. So
I don't even know how
this
California. How did they define assault weapons? I should have looked into that, but they look scary. But anyway, California had an assault weapon ban, and that was overturned by a federal judge this week, which is on Thursday. And this guy also, the same federal judge, also struck down California's ban on high capacity magazines last month. So basically, and a judge, look, this is the best argument ever. He said the state argued that the law aims to protect mass shooters from gaining access to assault weapons. He said, but the federal judge countered, and he said a lot of these banned weapons are commonly used by law-abiding citizens for self-defense. And this is a quote. He said, California's answer to the criminal misuse of a few is to disarm its many good residents. That knee-jerk reaction is constitutionally untenable, just as it was 250 years ago, end quote. Don't you love that? I mean,
amen.
I know.
Amen.
Just as it was. I mean, what a great answer when he overturned this.
And it puts just a smack down.
Just smacked him down.
Yeah, this was not ambiguous saying this little tiny piece of the law is you need to be rewritten. No, this was a smack down. No, you can't do that.
Love it. Totally love it. Yep.
God bless this man. God bless this man. Because we're going to get to a story later. The Second Amendment is not about sporting. The Second Amendment exists so that the citizens have power over the government.
Yep.
It exists so that if the government becomes too oppressive, we can go and kill them. That's why it exists. The founders didn't just get done hunting; they got done expelling and replacing an oppressive government. And oddly enough, over taxes. Hint, hint, hint.
I know. 100% right.
Because the stamp tax was not even close to what we pay now, percentage-wise.
Right.
But God bless this judge.
Yeah, good for him. I love him.
All right. Now, speaking of judges, you can get 7 months in jail for posting memes.
Yeah, so we go from a Second Amendment case to a First Amendment case. Yeah, so I don't know if you remember. Look, I saw friends on Facebook. I'll just tell a little story before we get into this. I had friends on Facebook posting stuff before the 2016 election, I guess, when Donald Trump was running against Hillary. And then even before 2020, where people would put online, Democrats, your day to vote is November 8th, for example, which would be a day after the election. Or they were telling them...
It's a joke.
It's a joke, right? So going back to the story is they label everybody far right, but it's just a Twitter troll, right? This Twitter troll posted fake ads telling Hillary Clinton supporters they could vote in a 2016 election by text messages. And he also told them some stuff like you can vote on days that they couldn't vote. It's just memes, right? But he was sentenced for 7 months in prison Wednesday for basically being convicted of election interference. I've never heard anything like this, but I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing the same thing out there. And this guy I guess he's got a big following, but this guy got 7 months in prison for protected speech, in my opinion.
I said the same thing in 2012.
Yeah, I mean,
I said because of high turnout, expected high turnouts, Republicans will vote on Tuesday and Democrats vote on Wednesday.
Right,
it's a joke.
It is, but okay. So
even my Democrat friends thought it was funny. I mean, they're like, they got the humor in it. It's a joke.
What I don't understand is how they convicted this guy without proving that someone was affected by his memes. So
it's not just that. Is
this a victimless? This is a victimless crime. Like, who is the victim in this case? Did somebody really try to vote by text message and their vote wasn't counted? I mean, like, who is the victim here?
If you are so dumb, if you are that dumb, you shouldn't be voting.
I know.
In fact, you should wear a helmet if you're that dumb.
Know. This was a Brooklyn, New York federal court judge. Her name is Ann Donnelly. She countered that he was being sent to prison for conspiring to take away people's right to vote.
Of course, it had to be Brooklyn.
Yeah, it had to be New York. I can't imagine this case doesn't get appealed and makes its way to the Supreme Court. I think we're going to be seeing this in SCOTUS in a couple of years.
I hope we do. I hope this guy is completely exonerated and sue the pants off of the Justice Department.
I just don't know how this will hold up in an appeals court. There's stuff all the time people post online that's not true, and I don't know. This was a terrible sentence.
The only natural progression of that is starting to put comedians in jail.
Yes, right.
It's a joke.
It was 100% a joke.
No one actually. Even this guy didn't think that Democrats would vote via text. It was a joke.
Yep, total joke.
Speaking of jokes, well, not really. Speaking of jokes, we got an update on the deadly quote unquote hospital blast in Gaza.
Yeah, it wasn't even really a hospital blast either. It ended up being earlier this week. A parking lot. So I think it was Wednesday. Hamas comes out, says Israel just bombed a hospital and there's at least 500 people were dead. And as soon as Hamas came out, the Gaza's health ministry who came out with this, it happened on Tuesday. So Gaza's health ministry is controlled by Hamas, blamed Israel for this. And as soon as they blamed Israel for this, every news agency immediately ran with the story. New York Times did, CNN did, MSNBC, Congressman Rashida Tlaib on Twitter, and this is still up. She said Israel just bombed a Baptist hospital, killing 500 Palestinians, doctors, children, patients.
Look, she needs Tlaib needs to figure out if she wants to be a Palestinian or an American, because you can't be both.
So, and nobody waited 15 minutes for the facts to actually get out about this story. So it finally comes out that it was a Hamas rocket that they were shooting at Israel, went off course and came down in the parking lot. And you could tell there was a tiny little hole in the pavement. In a way, they said, I knew it wasn't a missile from Israel because they said it would have left this 30-foot wide crater, big crater in the ground and would have destroyed everything around. So look, this is a case again where the media just runs with something because it's an anti-Israel, anti-Jewish type story, and they all got caught on it. But Elon Musk removed New York Times verification check on Twitter because they posted this story. I love it, right? He removed their gold verified badge because they put this story out, left it up. Now, the craziest part of this is when our president went over to Israel this week. President Biden told reporters on Wednesday that Palestinian terrorists have got to learn how to shoot straight one day after an explosion outside this hospital. I don't know what the hell kind of comment that was.
First of all, I think it's funny.
Yeah, but
I think it's funny. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't think Biden is sharp enough to be funny. But if I said something like that, like they bomb themselves, they better learn how to shoot better.
I know, but he's saying they got to learn how to shoot straight. He's basically saying they got to learn how to shoot straight at Israel.
Well, yeah, but it's.
I get your point.
His problem is he didn't just say that; he mumbled through it.
He did.
He was incoherent.
He looked terrible over there. He was looking down, trying to read notes, incoherent. Yeah, now, part of that is
I do think when he went in was talking to Benjamin Netanyahu that he looked presidential. But then he got back on Air Force One and he's
a cardigan on and
a doddering old man. somebody take him away from the press.
I know.
Just put the press secretary out there, and put him in the bedroom of Air Force One. There is nobody guarding this man's dignity.
They're not. Yeah, it's pitiful out there.
They keep throwing him out there, and we can't be the only ones that are seeing this.
No, and he gave a speech on TV a couple nights ago where he reads the teleprompter again. So the teleprompter will be, we're going to help Israel. And, there'll be quotes out beside it to say, make your point, where they're trying to get him to really make the point, and he reads to make the point. The guy is clueless. I mean, seriously.
Look, he was never the sharpest tool in the shed, but he was politically acute.
Yes, he was.
He was never smart. Joe Biden's never been smart. I mean, he finished the bottom of his class, but he's never been smart. But he's been politically acute for the last 50 years, and it's at a certain point, it's getting to the point where I feel sorry for him that no one is guarding this man's dignity.
I know, and he's running again. So
yeah, apparently so. So Americans aren't safe anywhere.
I know. The U.S. Department of State issued a rare worldwide caution on Thursday, urging any American who is overseas to exercise increased caution due to increased tensions in various locations around the world. And it's like we just said. I mean, everything feels like it's just heating up worldwide at the moment. But, they're warning about increased potential for terrorist attacks, demonstrations, or violent actions against U.S. citizens.
But aren't you careful when you're overseas anyway? I mean,
I wasn't in Scotland this summer, but yeah.
I keep my head on a swivel. I mean, I
do that anywhere though. I mean, I live close to Griffin. You got to really keep your head on a swivel in downtown Griffin.
Yeah, but even how I carry my money, you're
right.
I'm careful when I'm overseas.
Yep.
I've beyond terrorist acts, which I'm not really that scared of.
Yep.
I know that I don't have rights when I'm overseas, so I watch my P's and Q's.
Yep.
So, I mean, the State Department didn't say anything. I mean, be careful.
Yeah, all they said was be careful. They did tell people, U.S. citizens living in Lebanon, they need to get the heck out as quick as they can.
Well, no kidding.
I probably should have never come. But there's been a lot of rocket fire starting to come from Hezbollah, which is on the northern part of Israel and Lebanon. So a lot more stuff starting to happen up there. And they, I don't know if you saw it, but they were, the U.S. Embassy in Beirut this week was also, there was a lot of protesting outside, and not just like protesting around the U.S. This is like real
fires
and fires. And so it's a different level of protest. Yeah. I guess the question is, would this make you not travel internationally at this point?
No.
So you would travel international?
I truly believe that travel expands your horizons.
Oh, 100%.
And there is no risk-free world. If you want to be risk-free, I would just sit in my house all day long.
I agree. Now, I know where I wouldn't go right now is I wouldn't go to places like Paris. I don't think at the moment. I wouldn't go to big cities that have
high Muslim population.
High Muslim populations, and there are places in Paris.
You were trying to dance around it. I'll call a spade a spade. Yeah, but high Muslim population.
But would I go to Madrid or Barcelona or Rome or?
First of all, Madrid is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic.
But I wouldn't go to London at the moment.
Well, I wouldn't go to Cairo. I'm probably going to stay out of Tel Aviv. I'm going to stay out of Jordan.
Yeah, but I'm going to other places.
Yeah, Beirut has never been on my list.
Next summer, I heard it's great during the summer.
Yeah. I mean, you ought to see the girls when they show their ankles. Whoo!
Have a nice farmer's tan.
But no, but I absolutely want to visit Egypt. I absolutely would love to go to Amman, Jordan. Israel's been on my list, but I'm guessing that's probably out for the next 10 years.
Yep.
But there are places that I want to go, and we only have so many times that we ride this rock around the sun.
No, I know.
And if you sit and worry about what could happen, you'll waste your life away.
Yep, very true. Well said, Dave.
So, all right,
Here's your buddy.
Jesse. Yes, this is my buddy.
And my friend too. I consider Jason a friend.
Yeah, Jason Avatarde is a friend of mine. I actually sent this to him the night before we recorded, and he just laughed. But Jesse's calling him out because he wants to do a sales tax holiday on firearms purchases right before hunting season.
Yeah, it's not just firearms purchases. It is firearms. So I think he's classifying it as like
ammo,
sales tax, ammo, related accessories. I guess a deer stand maybe, or corn to feed the deer with. Hell, I don't know. Yeah, so Jessica Slodgy with the Georgia Virtue, and I think she's 100% right. She called him the Mule of the Week, but he's tying this, and the problem with what he's doing is he's tying the Second Amendment to hunting, and no Second Amendment proponent wants to tie the Second Amendment to hunting, because as soon as you do that, it gives the left an argument that we don't need quote unquote assault rifles. And you should only have a shotgun or only have a rifle.
Exactly right. We're just talking about the ruling for California.
Yep.
He didn't say that you need a 30-round mag for hunting.
Right.
He said that the Second Amendment is about freedom and protecting yourself and holding the government accountable.
Yep.
So, look, most
hunters don't wait. Most hunters don't wait till 11 days before deer season opens to buy a gun or buy a deer stand or buy camouflage. So
deer stand, maybe.
Yeah, but you gotta have a deer stand maybe a climbing stand or something. But most of the time, hunters are out there during the summer and spring figuring out where they're going to set up camp and all that kind of good stuff.
That's because you're rich. Those of us who had to hunt WMAs were climbing stands. You couldn't put anything permanent up.
And what Senator Amatarte said, he said, by carving out a small window in this tax revenue, we hope to expand the base of hunters and increase the overall tax revenue that is dedicated to conservatism. So, look, I thought, hey, if you want to have more people out there, do away with hunting licenses. I mean, I don't know why I need a hunting license to go shoot a deer in the woods, which is up to $30, $40, $50 now. So let's get rid of hunting licenses for kids under 30 years old, or if you're there's other ways to do this, I think, than just trying to do an 11-day sales tax.
I think that he's muddling two issues here.
Yep.
One Second Amendment is not related to hunting.
No, not at all.
But the second is we are losing outdoorsmen.
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree.
We're take a kid hunting. It's something that Matt Lowe, who was a former host of the show, is so good about. Besides his 50 kids,
right?
He would take anybody hunting. Even people he didn't like. If someone expressed an interest in going hunting, he goes, "I'll take you. I'll teach you." And he's so good about taking the sport forward. And his passion for hunting is much like my passion for fishing is get young people involved in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
And so if that was the angle that Jason took, I think that would be better received by Szilagyi for certain. But any tax that we roll back, I'm all for.
Yeah, I agree. But I'd rather roll back. I'd rather roll back income tax or fees that we have to pay versus sales tax. And that was part of Jessica's point, that sales tax is the fairest tax out there because you get taxed when you spend money. Let's roll back some of these fees that we pay for a hunting license or a fishing license, or let's roll away. I mean, let's not, when you're on public land, let's not make you pay $5 to go hunting there during the day.
With all the money they collect, why is DNR always broke?
Yeah, I know. Exactly. So yeah, I think there's other. I get his point. I mean, the point's 100% legit. Let's try to get more people outdoors.
Yeah,
in the woods.
I support the legislation 100%.
Agree. But it's dangerous tying the Second Amendment to hunting at the end of the day.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. And you know what? If Jason was sitting here with us, he would probably agree too. Be like, yeah, that'd be a good point. Jason's a reasonable guy. I mean, you know him.
100%. And look, this is not going to. I don't think this has got a chance in hell of passing. But
because they don't roll back taxes.
No.
I mean, they don't roll back taxes. I have no problem with this, with the nuts and bolts of this. I agree with Jessica. I agree with you. We probably shouldn't tie it into the Second Amendment. It should be about the outdoors and getting more people involved in the outdoors. Yep. Because if we don't use that public land, if we don't get people out there, we're going to lose it.
Second Amendment. Yeah, there's no need to mention a Second Amendment on this.
I agree, and I don't, and I think Jason would agree. You know, in retrospect on it.
Yep.
But this is a good time to remind you that these are our opinions and not those of anyone not on the show or any respective company for which we may work, own, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find other episodes and relevant stories over at thegeorgiavirtue.com. You have the mule, Hoss.
Yeah, the mule this week is Maxim Magazine. I'm sure you've heard of Maxim. It's a magazine targeted to men, but they came out.
I like scantily clad women. Yeah.
That's what it has in it. They come out with a list every year of the hottest or 100 hottest women in the world. Guess who's number 92 this year?
A dude.
So former Australian football player and coach Danielle, formerly Dean Laidley, was ranked 92 among the list of Maximum Australia's 100 hot people. It celebrates noteworthy Australian women every year. So a dude has made it into the 92 into the top 100 hottest women in the world.
Which just proves that we're better than women at everything. Good
now,
Lord.
Look, this is not a dude that has dressed up like a woman and actually could pass for a female. This is a 50-year-old rugby player, former football coach, football player and coach. This guy looks rough. I mean, I have no clue how they trannies should be mad at this because there's a lot better looking trans men or trans women than this dude.
Yeah, there was a Marine a few years ago that transitioned.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that dude pulled it off. I mean, he lost like 150 pounds because when he was in the Marines, he may have been a SEAL, yep. Giant arms and all this stuff. And let me tell you something, that dude was pretty. Yeah. When he got done, he was pretty. But I have a policy. I like my women like I like my ice cream, without a penis.
I didn't know ice cream had some of those.
Just good Lord, man.
Yeah, I know. Well, seriously, I mean, they couldn't. And look, women should be mad at this kind of stuff, and maybe they are, and they just don't voice their opinion. I saw this from Riley Gaines. Riley Gaines is the one that put this out on her Twitter account. I saw it first there, and then I saw it by some of my other Twitter, like Clown World. Some of those sites also had it.
Yeah, Riley Gaines has been out front with the trans stuff.
Yep.
Again,
yes.
I didn't know in high school it was an option to join the girls' swim team and hang out in the locker room. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was an option. I'm honestly kind of pissed at my guidance counselor for not telling me this.
Yes, that's an option nowadays.
So this is to me the worst story of the week.
Yeah, I think it is.
Johan van der Sloot finally confessed.
Yeah, this is two decades later, right?
Yeah, he was charged with a financial crime, and what he tried to do was extort Natalie Holloway's mother, and that's what he was convicted of. He was already convicted in Peru of killing a woman.
Yep.
And Peru basically lent him to us to try. In which case, once the trial's done, we ship him back, and he'll spend the rest, his time there, and then And then he owes us another 20 years. But the details that he went into were appalling.
This guy's 36 years old now. So he was, 18 at the time this happened, or 16, 17, 18 at the time this happened down in Aruba. I mean, it shocked the world when this happened. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, what was it? Was it 05?
Yeah, but he said him and Natalie left the casino, and I guess they started kissing on the beach, and he tried to go further,
that.
right?
Yeah.
To move past that. She wouldn't let him do that. And then he takes a cinder block, it sounded like, and he just bashes her head in with the cinder block and then throws her out in the ocean.
To say that in front of Natalie's mother.
Isn't that amazing?
I mean, he could have just said, yes, I killed her. But he
gave all the details.
He went into gory details in front of this poor woman who lost her child on a senior trip.
She was actually, I saw her being interviewed afterwards. She was, I guess it's because it happened 20 years ago, but she was very composed. And I think she was finally, she knew what happened to Natalie. She didn't know how it happened, but she seems like this is, she knows now and I'm sure she's put it behind her, but she seemed very composed. And I was shocked. I really was that she could talk about it the way she did.
Yeah, and I would assume the 2 decades between it help.
Yeah.
And she's been after him, and we talked about on the show when he was indicted and Peru agreed to lend him to us.
Yep.
We talked about that, but God bless that woman. I can't imagine the pain.
I can't either.
I mean, because she, an 18-year-old who just graduated high school didn't pay for it herself.
No.
And I've been to Aruba a couple times. I never felt unsafe, but I also wasn't an 18-year-old girl. No,
it's like one of the safest countries out there. Everybody I know that goes to Aruba loves it. It's always very safe. And this is great. So he's serving so he kills somebody in Peru. He's serving for that. If he gets out in Peru, I guess he'll come back to the U.S. and serve 20 years here. He's 36. So he potentially gets out of jail at some point in his life, maybe, but I doubt it. I noticed he did say he found Jesus. So he kind of phrased it of he has become, he knows God now, so he felt like he could tell the truth. And
he found Jesus. I'd like to help him meet Jesus.
I hope he's not going to meet Jesus at some point. I'm not sure how people. I'm not sure how we get. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one, right?
I really think that once he gets to the U.S., there'll be a little prison justice for him. I wish he'd go to Smith State. That'd take care of it right there.
And I don't know if you saw this. It's not on the outline, but AJC, I know Jessica in the Georgia Virtue she talks about Smith State Prison a lot, and she has some great information on what goes on down there. But the AJC just did a huge story on Georgia prisons and all the drug rings that are going on in the prisons and how they're recruiting. They did a big story on this young girl that started working at Smith State and how she got recruited into basically the drug gang. And, they said she was a real smart, real sweet girl. She goes into the prison working with these inmates, and they basically recruit her to start running drugs for her. And she ends up dying. She was murdered at a certain point. But the AJC just did a huge story on how bad the prison system is in Georgia.
So basically they took all Jessica's work and put AJC on top of it.
It literally looked like they did. But it's out on the AJC.com. But I guess it's good that Jessica's highlighting this and now the AJC picks up on it. And at some point, the governor is going to have to do something about the prison system here.
Yeah, he is. All right, let's get into another insurrection of the Capitol.
Yeah, we had another July 6th this week, right?
January 6th, yeah.
January 6th. Yeah, there's 300 people were arrested by Capitol Police this week protesting inside the Capitol building. So Hey, these people went into the Capitol building and started protesting, and the Capitol Police told them to leave. They didn't, and they were arrested. It's going to be interesting to see if they're treated the same way some of the people that just walked through the Capitol on January 6th were.
Yeah, the one of the reasons I want to see Trump reelected is I think he would pardon every one of them because it was not an insurrection.
No, it wasn't. Not at all.
But these were pro-Palestinians, right?
Yeah, these were pro-Palestinians. Actually, this was a left-wing Jewish group that's supposedly was organized by a left-wing Jewish group. But I don't know if you saw this, but Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene was on Facebook Live during this. She was filming all the protesters they were coming into the Cannon office building, which is where a lot of the offices are. And then they assembled in the rotunda of the Capitol. It was, a lot of shouting, a lot of angry people walking around. It was,
how self-loathing do you have to be Jewish and pro-Palestinian?
No, I know. Yeah. I don't know how left-wing Jewish group doesn't even go together to me. I don't know how you're a left-wing Jewish group at the end of the day.
Yeah, how self-loathing do you have to be to support the people that want to kill you and rub you off the face of the earth?
Yep, I don't get it.
I mean, excuse me. But yeah, if there's a group that was dedicated to killing fat white guys, I probably wouldn't join that group.
Yeah, this is not. There were a bunch of students protesting out in University of Berkeley, the Berkeley campus out in California. I know that's surprising.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
They were protesting against Israelis and Jewish people this week. You're seeing a lot more protests in the U.S. And I also those Harvard students that signed, we talked about last week on the show, but those Harvard students that signed those letters against Israel last week, now they're coming out saying they're being doxxed and there's being websites built with their names out there to show business owners, who
So they turn themselves
letter.
into the victim.
Yeah, they're totally playing the victim card on this now.
There's more than 1,000 Israelis dead, and they're the victims.
Yep, they're the victims. Yep.
Just good Lord, man.
I know.
Everybody wants to be the victim. The politicians want to be the victim going, oh, I'm being threatened. And now these students who are at Harvard, I'm a victim.
Yeah,
Shut
I'm
up.
a victim at Harvard.
Yeah, shut up. You've got an opportunity that 99.999% of the population does not get to go to Harvard.
I know.
Shut up. I know. I'm so kind. Well, Kenny, do you have any closing thoughts?
I mentioned earlier, but remember to vote in these November elections. They're very important. Who's your local mayor or city council members? And if you do go vote, make sure you vote no on any SPLOST that's on the ballot. The government does not need any more money.
A friggin' men. We have an e-SPLOST for renewal out here, and apparently I'm the a-hole. Because everybody else in the party is calling me an a-hole, saying, oh, no, they need that money. If they don't get that money, they're just going to raise our property taxes. I said, that's extortion.
It is.
They're holding
that all the time.
They're going to hold a gun to my head and say, we're going to get it from you one way or another.
Yes.
That's extortion. It's time to start holding the school boards and county boards and city councils accountable. Yep. They steal from us constantly. My house is about paid off, but it's not. Even once we pay it off, the county's still gonna tax me just to live here.
Yep.
And I get nothing from. Well, actually, I get $50 a month because the poor board I'm on, but I get nothing from the county. I have no kids in school. I guess I drive on the roads, and that's about it. I get nothing back for my investment, and all they do is they want more.
Yep.
The school board is like having a brother addicted to cocaine. No matter how much money you give him, he's still broke.
That's terrible.
So, on that happy note, my closing thought is if you like what you heard, please like and share us on the social medias. If you didn't like what you heard, inflict us on your friends and fill their ears full of our nonsense. Ken, I want to thank you as normal, and Eric, thank you very much for taking this awful audio, especially as bad as my voice still sounds, and turning it into something that people can listen to. Having said that, we will talk to you next week.
I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.